Welcome to Motivational Mondays, Conversations with David Ibarra. Today we have four very special guests. They are all recipients, past recipients of the Ibarra Foundation scholarships. I want to start by each of you introducing yourself, and we'll start with David.
Well, David, thank you so much for having us here today. It's a pleasure to be in this presence and to have my siblings and now my new brother with us. But thank you. My name is David Novoa. I am from Colombia, and I'm happy to be here today, showing
Great.
some where we come from.
Santiago, let's shift to the order in which I met all of you. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Santiago Novoa. Thank you again for having us here. You know, the foundation helped us a lot throughout this whole time. We were able to pursue our careers and now new families and a better jobs opportunities.
Camilla.
Okay, so my name is Camila. I'm the oldest. And thank you again for having us here. Your help was really beneficial for our education. And yeah, so I'm ready for this interview.
Perfect. And Samuel.
Hi, my name's Samuel. David, once again, it's a pleasure to be with you. I want to thank you for your help last time. That scholarship really helped us out as individuals to pursue our career, and it's nice to be back.
Well, thank you, Samuel Hernandez.
And,
We're going to have a conversation, and we're just going to talk, and I want to start with, now, first of all, I didn't know you were the oldest.
I am the oldest, yeah.
I thought David was the oldest because I think I met David and Santiago first, but I want to go to the very beginning, and that is Pat, before I met you. I want to know a little bit about your story, Colombia, your beginning. How is it that you came to the United States? And share with our audience your personal story. And I want you to be able to just talk at will. You can butt in and act like you're around your kitchen table.
Love it. Camila, she's the oldest. She will start us out.
Okay, so my dad was, we are from Colombia. My dad was part of the military in Colombia. He was a lieutenant colonel. So basically the idea of coming to the US started once my dad started to get threatened by terrorist groups in Colombia. So the way to get out, my dad found, it was like an alliance between the military, the army, the police, and the United States to learn English. So my dad was able to move to Nebraska. So he took all of us there. We didn't know if we were gonna come back home, and we ended up not. It was too dangerous to go back. So yeah, here we are. My dad, thanks to all of his efforts and my mom's, we are here with better opportunities and of course safer than we were in Colombia.
Perfect. David, tell me a little bit about how it felt growing up in Colombia with a very powerful father in the military.
I think growing up, you see the news, you see what's happening, you see the reality, around you, and more when you're more present into what's actually happening. Like, we used to live in military bases all grown up. We all went to like military schools, which was even, we thought that was a normal thing. So I remember when I was a little kid, the terrorist groups in Colombia usually have like stops in the middle of the city. When you travel from one city to another, they have stops, and sometimes they can kidnap people. And I remember traveling from cities to cities, I used to cry a lot. And they will ask me, like, why are you crying? And I used to say, I just don't want my parents to die, because when you get stopped, my parents will tell us, okay, if we get stopped, you guys are going to tell them if they ask. Your dad name is Andres, so a different name, and he is a veterinarian. That was kind of like the story we had to tell to kind of cover up who my dad was. So like when you have that in the thought, like, shoot, if I mess up or something, that created a lot of anxiety. But then I kind of grew up with that, and it seemed like it was a normal thing, It seemed like a normal thing. If I wanted to go to a party with my friends, like a quinceañera, which was kind of happening before I left, somebody had to come with me, like they will send a soldier to kind of wait for me. Or if we wanted to go to the movies, they will send somebody to kind of guide us, because the key to get to my dad could be his family. So, but we thought that was kind of like the normal thing, So we all kind of start opening the eyes to what real life is when we came to the U.S. and we experienced what freedom actually is. You know, the liberty and the choice to go out to the movies or to go as a family to have dinner and not to have to worry about anything, or to be walking with your phone out and not to be thinking like who's on my left, who's on my right, and just feel the freedom. I think that's something that doesn't have a price, honestly.
And that's something that maybe the people from the United States or citizens from the United States take for granted.
Right.
And that I know that my father is an immigrant. He just loved America, but he also loved Mexico.
Yes.
Santiago, tell us a little bit about how old were you when your family came to the United States?
So I was about 11. But like I said, like David said, I wanted to follow my dad's steps. So I wanted him to become a general and all of that. So it's kind of hard for my dad to leave that to the side, because I wanted to join the military with him while he was still on active duty. But now thinking about it, this has been the best decision that my dad's taken. Like, all of his friends right now that are retiring, they are asking him, how can we go to the United States, because the situation in Colombia is not the best. And the U.S. Gave us all of those benefits, the opportunity to go to school, get scholarships, play sports, just do the normal things every kid should do. But in our country, we don't get those same benefits that we do here.
Great. And Samuel, tell me a little bit about, and you got a different history, I'm sure, but I'm sure it's a powerful history. We all got stories we should share.
So I'm originally from Mexico. I was born and raised in Guadalajara. So my father, when he was young, he had the option of either going to school, to university, to pursue a degree, or to come to the U.S. And since he saw the situation in Mexico, he decided to come to the U.S. So from what he's told me, he walked through the border, the desert, for 2 weeks before he was actually able to cross. He was caught a couple of times. He finally made it. And in that time, there was some special program, or I guess maybe the immigration laws were different, and he was able to get his own residency and then his citizenship. And that's when he called my mom. He's like, hey, we have the opportunity of bringing you and the kids here. So what's it going to be? And she said, well, if it's better there, if you think it's better for the kids, let's go. So we all left. I was 7 when that happened. And
How many years were you separated from your father?
Since I can remember, I only saw him like maybe once or twice a year. Like Christmas time is when I'd see him, or halfway through the year when he had some vacation time. But other than that, I'd spend those 7 years with my mom. So when I actually moved here, my dad was a bit of a stranger to me still. So it was a bit of a process. But originally he thought, let's bring the kids here, let them learn English, and then go back. But once he saw the opportunities here, he's like, why am I going to take him back for them to struggle when in here they might have a better shot? And I've been here ever since.
Perfect. Camilla, you have anything to add on all of that? Your memories and getting here and how you felt assimilating into school and what that meant?
It was a really hard adjustment for sure. I was 16 when I moved here. I didn't know any English. Like, we took English classes in Colombia, but it was very basic. So coming to a different school without knowing the language, without knowing the culture, because it's a culture shock. Especially only having 1 year of high school left, because I only did my senior year here. It was the biggest challenge. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to be a doctor at the moment, but everything looked impossible. I was like, how am I gonna learn English in just 1 year before I go to college? But I think it was mostly because of what my dad and my mom has taught us, to be perseverant and consistent. So I learned English in a year, and then I went to college. And yeah, so I feel like nothing is impossible in this life. But yeah, it was a big challenge for sure.
You've got an incredible story. I want to go now and talk about a little bit about how it is that it would be Santiago and David heard about the Ibarra Foundation, and how it is that you came, that the three of us met each other. And I want you to specifically bring up the individual that was the connector, so to speak.
Yes. So when we moved from Nebraska to Utah, because there was a better opportunity, Camila was about to graduate high school, and my parents were looking at bigger options for her. We were in a small town in Nebraska called Kearney. So we moved to Utah. There was better opportunities for school and for us that we were playing soccer at the time to come to Utah. So we moved here, and my dad started networking a little bit. And he met this individual. His name is Keith Atkinson. And Keith has been like a grandpa to us, but more like the angel of our family. We think everything that has happened to us is because of him. He has always kind of like shows the routes and teaches the ways to kind of perceive things in this new idea of new reality that we're living in the U.S. And Keith kind of introduced my dad to a person called Danny Temkin, that he
Danny.
started working with him.
Great individual.
Yes. And after that, Keith has always been part of our life. Like I perceive him as our grandfather here in the U.S. and he's just a person of heart that wants the best for everybody, and he definitely helped us. So one time he reached out to us. He was like, "Hey, you guys need to meet David Ibarra. He's somebody that can help you guys and show you guys a clear path." And he was the one that connected us with you, and here we are. And we're grateful that that happened.
He called me and he says, "You have to meet these two young men." And I said, "Okay." And normally when he's bringing me something, our foundation year had already closed, and I'm thinking to myself, well, you don't say no to Keith. And then after meeting the four of you, you don't say no either.
That's
So
amazing.
tell us a little bit about that meeting and how you felt and what we talked about and how we came to a conclusion that you ought to receive a scholarship and what it meant to you.
So first of all, obviously we came and met you, and it was sort of like a mentoring. You gave us this book, and then we took some courses to help us with our positive mentality,
Yeah.
which from still today, like I still use it. Like I always keep in my mind that I can, and then to have that switch in positive mode. So I always thought, your mind either can be positive or negative. So I know I can.
You
keep
choose.
I choose it in positive as most as I can. That's helped me throughout my career and school, and just any decision that I take. Just around my family, all of that. And then we met with you, and you told us to read your book, Stop Drifting. And I'm not a big reader, and since I read that book, I got hooked. That book was honestly one of my favorite books. It gets me hooked, and then I read that book in like 3 days,
Wow.
which is kind of rare for me to read a book that fast. So reading that book just opened so many opportunities, just a way of how to think, just your life, just how you can make those little changes to have a better opportunities and better lifestyle. And that's something that I take.
Right.
So yeah, and then we met with you, and you surprised us with the scholarship, and
What
helped us a lot.
it started out as is we flipped you to, I have this time tithing on Wednesday nights. And anybody that wants to find their purpose or what have you, I set, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30. And I told Keith, I said, well, I want to see what David and Santiago are made of. I'm going to give you a book. First you read that. And after you read it, then we're going to go through it and talk about it, deep dive discussion on what do these principles mean. And then after, if they succeed, then they will have earned something, and that's when we awarded you with the scholarships. Then I recall that you came, and I don't know whether it was to get them or to have a conversation, but you bring somebody with you. Why don't we talk about that.
So yeah, when we when they were gonna meet with you after they read the book, they were like, "You need to meet this guy. You have to come with us." I didn't know what I was getting into, so I just came along, and it was amazing. Like they were talking about the book. I hadn't read it at the time, but then you offered the book to me, and I was like, my boyfriend at that point, now my husband, may also be interested in the book. So you gave me two copies, and it was amazing. I think you implemented in that book all the things that my dad has taught us throughout life: to be positive, to be consistent, to never say no, I can't, because you can do whatever you want. So when after I read the book, I was like, yeah, is it was like my dad talking to me through your book,
Good.
which was amazing. So yeah, then I brought my fiance at the moment, and then now my husband, and yeah, we talked to you, and it was amazing to me knowing that there is still great people like you in this world trying to help young people to achieve their dreams and to pursue a career. So I think you're a great motivation for a lot of young
Thank
people.
you.
Imagine if you could have learned the Live Ready lessons as a child. Now imagine your children learning these principles through engaging stories, sing-along songs, themed games, and more, all designed over many years with real educators. With Yes Our Kids Can, this dream becomes a reality. Don't miss this chance to shape your child's path to extraordinary success. Enroll in Yes Our Kids Can today and be sure to give your child a successful tomorrow. Go to yesourkidscan.com for more information.
Thank you so much. I'll never forget the day. And Samuel, you came and we talked for a minute, and we bonded right away because Samuel and I are Mexicans. We're not Mexicans.
I love that.
We can get it done. So tell me a little bit about your experience as it relates to the topic of the scholarship, reading, and etc.
So there was one day when my wife now said, "Hey, do you want to read this book? I got it from David Ibarra. It's about positive thinking, stop drifting." I was like, you know what? I'm not much of a reader either, like Santiago, but I said, let's give it a shot. And as I started to read it and started to read more and more about it, I was like, this sounds like it's somebody's story. And then when we actually met in person, we were talking about it, and you're like, yeah, this is my story. This is something that happened to me. I was like, oh, okay, so I wasn't wrong. But the examples, the way you told it, it was clear. It gave me what I need to know. Like, you have to be positive. It's a decision. You have to be optimistic. You got to be consistent with what you want to do. Like, it's all in you. It's not anybody else's responsibility. It's all yours. And that was great. It was a really good meeting. I really appreciate the opportunity to have met with you.
Well, I bet you didn't know that it was your test. When Camilla gave it to you, she was deciding whether she was going forward or whether or not you were a winner, or whether or not you were a quitter. So if you wouldn't have read that book, no, I'm just making that part up. But
It was a test, actually.
it was a test. Tell us a little bit about what you're wanting to do in the future. We've got a clear picture of your beginning, education, and we'll start with David. Tell us about what you see for yourself in the next 10 years. What are you focusing on?
That's a really good question. I think, we all should have dreams. We all should have that big idea, the big picture of how big you can make it, and we can dream high. And when you dream high, you set those standards up for yourself. But I think the most important thing to achieve those things is to have the good foundations that the 7 Keys of Success by Napoleon Hill teaches, or Stop Drifting teaches. That, if we put our mindset or our subconscious mind through it and reset our thoughts to have a positive thoughts throughout that process, the chances of you achieving those goals are going to be much higher. So I think for me, to have a goal is very important, but the most important thing is to have the direction on how you're going to get it. I think in 10 years, I see myself owning my own business. I'm getting into the business of importation and importing things from outsourcing from other countries. And I think I'm just trying to learn the process a little bit more. But there's gonna be a point where I'm just gonna pull the trigger and see what I can bring to the U.S. I think there's a lot of opportunities there, and I see myself doing that for a little bit, but also diversifying my opportunities and a way to bring revenue to be able to help individuals like I was one helped like you.
Great. We're going to drift just a little bit. I want you to, it just came to me that you invited me to speak,
I did, yeah.
and I came out. I want you talk a little bit about that. And I wanted to introduce you to a business guy that was just absolutely unbelievable successful in Price, Utah, a guy
Yeah.
by the name of Tony Basso.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that experience.
And I think that experience has a big part in my life. I say that because so I met you, and then I was throwing this event for the school. I was the vice president of the student government at the moment, and I was doing a diversity and inclusion seminar, and I was thinking about what speakers should I bring, and of course, representing the Hispanic heritage, I needed to have somebody that has been successful and that can prove those individuals like us that we can achieve whatever we want in a country full of opportunities. And the idea came across, we were able to make it happen, and you came and you gave the great speech. Everybody after that loved it. And then after that meeting, after that seminar, you invited us for dinner. It was my girlfriend, and then we had another person with us, Marcos. When we went, you guys asked us, you and Tony asked us, what do we want after we graduate? And at the moment, my plan was to become a dentist. That was my idea. And when I mentioned I want to become a dentist, Tony kind of gave me like a laugh. But with the laugh, he was like, I own multiple dental offices. And I was like, oh, but you're not a dentist. He was like, yeah, I'm not a dentist, but I just like the opportunity that I can bring those individuals jobs that they feel that they're doing what they need to be doing. But at the same time, I'm doing what I love, which is business. And when that thought played in my head, after that, I was just questioning, like, what do I really want? And I think that part of my life kind of stepped me aside to really choose my right path, which is business. And that has been something that I'm super grateful for.
Well,
'cause
I talk to Tony often, and I've done some mentoring with Tony for a long time.
it's amazing.
And I told him that story just last week. We were working on another business project, and he remembered it just like yesterday.
Really.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Santiago, tell us about what do you see for yourself in the next 10 years?
So, first of all, I'm kind of with the same mindset as David. We kind of have the same mindset. We went to school together, to the same school, and for a reason, we ended up doing the same thing. Right now, I'm working in the same industry as he is right now. And one of the things that I would love to always, my plan was always to do a business with David, always kind of follow his steps. And we talk about all of this stuff, now that he's getting into importation, exportation, that's a big thing. And I think one of the best partners that you can ever have is your brother, We share so many things. We can be clear about things. So I kind of want to follow his same steps. It also makes me feel great. These steps will help us, grow a little bit more with school, with the job opportunities. So these foundations that we have with our jobs will help us, later on achieve what we want to do. We still have to plan what we want to import and export. We have some families in Colombia that we're talking about what could we import or export from Colombia. So
Be careful about what you
Yes.
say when you talk about
Importation,
export
exportation.
from Colombia. Just a little humor.
yes. So like David, they import flowers from Ecuador and Colombia, so that's a big thing. Not the other type of importation.
Mainly roses. Let's go.
Mainly roses and plants.
Cool. Yes.
So right now I'm in the same industry. So we do, I'm with plants, potted plants. But we still kind of share the same thing. So we're kind of following the same steps, getting the same industry, having really, really similar mindset. So like he said, make a big business, later on, related. It doesn't have to be Colombia, but it could be other countries.
Yes.
Having different.
Well, remember to think big, because it takes just the same amount of time as not thinking at all.
Yes.
So you can get whatever you think.
True.
Camilla, tell me about what you see for yourself in the next 10 years.
Well, as I said, I'm graduating next May from dental school. My plan is to apply for a residency. I already applied. I'm waiting for interviews, but I want to be a pediatric dentist. I think the young generation has my heart, and I feel like we can create huge impact in the young generation for everyone else's future. So yeah, that's my plan. I think in 10 years I would like to have my own practice and maybe open it up to all the marginalized communities, the Hispanic community specifically, because it has my heart. It's part of me, and I would like to offer care to kids that don't have access to dental care, because we were one of them. From Colombia, we had everything there. We had insurance. We were fortunate there.
Yes.
But then we moved here and we had nothing.
Right.
And I was not able to access dental care for about 7 years. And I don't want that to happen to any other kid. And I feel like now it will be in my hands. So.
Thank you. Samuel.
So like I said, I just graduated last December, and I've been working at a law firm and obtaining experience, and that has kind of set that mindset of what if I become an attorney, but even more so an immigration attorney. From what I've seen from my dad, from what I've seen a lot of people struggle, especially at least from where I was, there was a lot of people who were crossing illegally.
Right.
And if I can, instead of having them do that, help them come here legally without having to get in that dangerous situation of crossing the desert and all those kind of things, like I could make a difference. And I'm Latino, I love Hispanic people. I feel like it's something I could do and help others and feel good about it, feel like I'm doing something to help, but at the same time doing something I like. So I see myself as being an attorney, whether it be an immigration attorney or working with the courts. That's something I'd see myself as in the next 10 years.
Well, I can tell you this. While this country is lost right now in immigration, for all the wrong reasons on both sides, it will get fixed. And the reason it's going to get fixed, we need good people. We need talent in this country. And the only thing that's going to prevent us from our continued economic growth is talent. We'll get it right. We don't have it right now, but that's going to be a big topic and a necessity. And I would really encourage you to follow that dream, because it's going to be a necessity. Nick, would you grab these books, or Sal, these books right over here? You hand them to my nephew Sal, and I got a gift for each one of you that I'd like to give you. It's my new book, Live Ready, Beyond Think and Grow Rich. And thank you, Sal. This book is a modern version of Dr. Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And I had, as you'll see, the director of the Napoleon Hill Foundation has endorsed it. They've looked at the work, but it's in my voice, not Dr. Hill's. So it's modern. And I think you'll find it as an easy read. I'll encourage you to take the time to read this book. And if it interests you, to join us in introducing these principles that create success to everyone you know. It's my aim is to touch the lives of 1 million people before I leave this life. And I want to encourage you to get its companion piece. It's Yes, Our Kids Can, Story Time with Senor Lionel, that tells 11 episodes that match up with the chapters of the book in a cartoon and sing-along songs. But I can tell you, I am so proud and thankful the day that Keith introduced me to all of you. It gives me a lot of confidence that our future is in good hands. So thank you very much for joining me as a guest today, and that will conclude our discussion today. Motivational Monday with Conversations with David Ibarra. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very much,
so much.
David.